tax preparation can be daunting for anyone. With new rules every year, there can be a lot of confusion.
Yeah, so whether you owe money or have it coming to you, you want to make sure that everything is done right and that you get exactly what you deserve. So here with some helpful advice is certified public accountant and president of Donahue Associates, Mike Donahue. We're so glad to have you on the show today. Thank you.
Well, thanks for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. A lot of people dread this time of year because they're like, oh, I have to do my taxes, and they put it off and they put it off. And I think people are sometimes confused too that it doesn't cost as much as they maybe think to have someone else prepare their taxes.
True. And I think in the long run, if you end up having some of these mistakes, it can cost you a lot more.
For sure.
But yeah, as far as some of the common things that we see a lot, believe it or not, one of the most simplest returns is one that causes a lot of errors, and that would be like dependents. So the kids returns, like, oh, I can do the kids return, no problem. And what happens is sometimes they'll accidentally claim themselves, and what it does is it kind of messes up the parents' return. So obviously a lot of people electronically file now. So once you do that and you send that kid's return out real quick, and then you try to file yours, you can't file it electronically. So.
Yeah, I think there's so much pushing people to do your own at home. It's so easy, do it online, you know, get this program, whatever. Why do you think, because you've got 5 reasons why someone should use a CPA, so let's kind of break them down and tell people why it's important to hire someone like yourself.
Reason number 1.
Reason number 1. Well, I would say that just to get those 3 little letters, Certified Public Accountant, CPA, you have to pass a pretty rigorous test, and that's something that is no easy feat. And once you do that, you're also having to pass an ethics test. And so those types of tests really it's a very broad test, and it really shows that you know what you're talking about.
So you know what you're talking about, and you have ethical standards.
Absolutely.
And I think those are 2 very important things if someone is preparing your taxes.
I really do, because I think a lot of times people will look at things that are, well, that's kind of a gray area, and some of it is, but some of it's just not right, and you want to make sure that you do what's right. And if it is a gray area, obviously we'll try to make sure we do it as best we can in your favor.
So number 3, so you got CPA, you've got ethics, next you have?
Well, I think continuing education is very important, and that's something that we're required to do, so we stay abreast of the situation. I mean, in the past 12 years, there's been 29 major tax law changes. That's a lot of things to go through, remember, and it's very, very difficult. One little piece of one of those laws might affect you, and so it's very hard to stay on top of that.
That's one of the key reasons, I think, to have someone else prepare your taxes, a CPA, because staying on top of tax laws and the changes can be a part-time and full-time job in and of itself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and it's so technical, and I think it's trust the experts. I mean, you wouldn't go to you think about brain surgery or anything that someone's trained in. The same thing is true with your taxes. What's the next reason?
Well, I think one of the other things too, that especially as a CPA, we're a full service accounting firm, so we're here all year long. We deal with a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals. So we basically are here for all your questions. If something pops up in July, give us a call. So that, with a lot of CPA firms, they're all, most of the time, just year-round practices.
And is there a number 5?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is our review process. We go through things, and we go through things, and we go through things. So if you're just doing your own return, do you have somebody check it? We do. And then we go through it again, and once we get everything ready to go, we go through it again. So we're very, very thorough with that, and it helps create a lot of the different mistakes that happen. We get rid of those.
I'm glad you brought up mistakes, because I'm interested to know, when people prepare their own taxes, what are some of the common mistakes that people make?
Well, I think, like we talked before, just the dependent issue, where somebody will file and kind of mess up things because not knowing that they did. The other thing is if you're looking at your filing status, and let's say you've just recently gone through a divorce, unfortunately, if that may have happened, do you file as single? Do you file as head of household? Are you still married at the end of the year? Do you file married joint, married separate? So there's a lot of different things and choices, and sometimes people don't quite get that right.
I think it's tough. Is there any other mistake as people are kind of thinking of what they're going to do that they should, you know, maybe even in prior stuff that you bring to your tax preparer or something like that that you have ready for them or that you don't forget to tell them about?
Yeah, and we're pretty thorough with that. We have a questionnaire we go through, and we actually always, if we hadn't prepared the return, we always look at last year's return just to make sure that we're not missing credits, we're not missing, and that, which is another one that happens a lot. People forget that there's a credit or don't even know there's a credit, and they just miss it, and it's basically money on the table that they're perfectly entitled to that they just didn't get.
There are some changes in 2013, Wisconsin and federal, that people should know about, and do you expect more changes for 2014?
There's a couple in 14. In particular, the one thing for Wisconsin for folks that send their kids to private schools, there's been some talk about that. A lot of people think it happened in 13. It actually is January 1 of 14. But there is a deduction for Wisconsin purposes for private tuition for K-5 through 8th grade, and that's $4,000. And then secondary education or high school, that's $10,000.
Wow.
So
You didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's big.
A lot of money on the table, for
but
sure.
one thing I would say too with 13 for state is that people may get a pre-refund identity questionnaire from the state. That's something new. They're trying to combat fraud and identity theft. And so if they get that, it's not a notice, it's not not anything bad. They just want to make sure you're the person that's entitled to the refund.
Okay.
Great tip. All right, to contact Mike Donahue and get your taxes prepared by a professional, here's how you can do that. They're located on Wisconsin Avenue in Grafton. His phone number is 262-375-1900 for Donahue and Associates. You can find them online at donahuecpa.biz for more information. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Your happy tax season.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
don't have to
Thank
be
you.
so taxing on us now.
Yes, exactly.